funny before I press the record button.
I don't want to be funny on camera. People think I'm actually funny.
Let's disagree with that.
Rude!
Hi guys, it's Leanne and today I have a special guest.
It's me again!
Who are you?
Lovely wife Helen.
Yay! She never says the lovely wife part, but it's part of her social media handles now. So if you want to find lovely wife Helen, this is a plug early in the video, I don't even do this for myself. If you would like to find lovely wife Helen, you can go to @lovelywifehelen on Instagram, where she posts pictures of mushrooms, cooking and our dogs.
Yes, pretty much. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
fair. You guys asked for it and I heard you. Really heard you. So here she is again. But we're also here for a couple of very specific purposes because it is time. Shady bitch. Because it is time for our November TBR, and this month Helen's actually going to make one.
Yeah, I don't normally do that.
No, you're a pantser. You just pick up
A pantser.
versus a planner.
A pantser. Okay,
Yeah,
I've been called
you fly by the seat of your pants.
Oh, I see. I've never heard that term in that way. That's all.
Editing Leanne here, guys. Just slipping in here to say that I realised as I was piecing this together that Helen was leaning on the desk for a lot of it, which means that there's quite a bit of shaky camera work in here. So I am very, very sorry in advance. I will strangle her later. She is not quite used to filming videos with me yet, and so didn't know that that would be a problem, but it's not too bad, and I hope you will bear with us. You're a pantser, so you just pick up whatever book you fancy.
I thought it was called mood reading myself, rather than pantsing.
Well, now she's getting all booktube terminology. This month, there are two things happening, which I did not anticipate. The first of those things is that it is Nonfiction November, which is a readathon organised by the lovely Olive at Book Olive. Every year, all of November is dedicated to reading non-fiction, which I read. We both read a fair amount of non-fiction anyway. And I mean, we have our Venn diagram's interesting for non-fiction. We have quite a big chunk in the middle. But we also have some really random outliers,
yes,
which neither of us would ever pick up. So there may be some judgment in this video.
Or I could be merging the Venn diagrams a little bit this time.
You sure?
Maybe. I might be kind of sneaking into your area a bit more.
No!
Yeah.
You know you have an Instagram, you're on my channel, there's no more getting into my area. This is my area, get your own. But the second thing that's happening this month, which I really did not anticipate, so thanks so much for that, is the 1000 Doors Readathon, which is hosted by the wonderful Emma from Drinking by My Shelf, along with a couple of other people. Tasman, I think. I forgot. All the links will be in the description below. And the premise of the 1000 Doors Readathon is that you will go to one of the hosts' channel on the first day. I'll be going to Emma's because I've forgotten everybody else. And you watch a video and you get a prompt. After you've read the book, you come back to that video and you then click on one of the doors which has appeared depending on your answer to a question, which is both a really amazing concept and also makes me deeply anxious because I don't know what I'm going to be reading. So for Nonfiction November, there are 4 prompts which you're allowed to interpret in any way that you like, and I'm going to pick one book for each of those prompts. And then I'm going to have a whole host of backup books which I'm going to try and make all non-fiction to fit in with the 1000 Doors Readathon.
That sounds like a lot.
I'm going to have a very stressed month. Which means you're going to have a very stressed month.
Oh no, come on.
Okay, so the first of the prompts for Nonfiction November is time. These prompts gave me a lot of anxiety too because I like readathons that give you prompts that are not too specific. So you don't have to buy 40 books in order to fill them. But give you a bit of direction. There was no direction. I was like, time? Time for an existential crisis? I think so.
Regular.
So the book that I have picked for time is, for me, a timely book because we're in the middle of a huge social justice movement right now, and I am trying to read as much as physically possible to make myself as informed as physically possible. And so the first book that I've decided to pick up is How We Fight for Our Lives by Saeed Jones, which is a very, very small memoir about being a gay black man in the South, which is a huge ask. This one is told, if I have got the gist of it right, this one is told entirely in poetry and vignettes, so I think it's going to be quite a quick one to get through. However, I have read some quotes from this, and they're the kind of quotes where you need to like sit with it and digest it for a little while. So it starts with, "People don't just happen," writes Saeed Jones. "We sacrifice former versions of ourselves. We sacrifice the people who dared to raise us. The I, it seems, doesn't exist until we are able to say, I am no longer yours." Even though it is tiny, I think if it's filled with quotes like that, I'm going to be taking my time with this one. Did you see that pun?
Time.
Time.
It's time.
Take my time with the timely book.
You're so good. You're so good.
So for the prompt of time, what is the first book that you are reading?
Dark Emu. It's a book about Aboriginals and First Peoples of Australia and how their culture, economics, agriculture has all been downplayed by modern Australians in a way to justify stealing their land, basically. And
that was a really good synopsis. Like, can you please write synopses for the backs of books so that I can concisely know what books are actually about, as opposed to just being like, well, I think this is about something. So you're already listening to it,
yep.
And you're enjoying it?
Oh yeah, very much.
And it's narrated by the author, yes?
Yep, I believe so.
Okay, so that's the first one, but you have picked 2 books for the prompt of time.
I have.
So what is the second book that you are planning on reading?
I am by Maggie Farrell.
Maggie O'Farrell.
O'Farrell.
You were really close!
Close!
And I'll just hold it up. I have read I am. And I love it very much, which I suspect is why you're picking it up. So what would you say that I am is about?
It's about time, because it's about all the times that she nearly died.
Yeah.
And there's lots of times that she nearly died.
Yes, there are like 17 times that she nearly died. So this one is a memoir. Maggie O'Farrell is a novelist, and this is really interesting as well because I haven't actually read any of Maggie O'Farrell's books, but you've read Instructions for a Heatwave.
Oh yes, because I remember, because it was about 1974, and I was alive in 1974, and I remember the plague of ladybirds, or ladybugs if you're American, but no, ladybirds.
There was a... Wait, hold on a minute. Back up. There was a plague of...
Yes.
This is 2020. Be careful what you call a plague. There was a plague of ladybirds.
Yeah, there was ladybirds everywhere. You
like these things.
Those things?
Ladybirds do bite though.
They can.
I mean, they do.
They're more likely to just poop in your hand.
Back to the actual books. But you read Instructions for a Heatwave, which I think I remember you enjoying quite a bit when you actually read it. But I am is Maggie O'Farrell's memoir, and it goes from her being a very little girl, which is the first time that she had a brush with death before she even really understood the concept of death. And then it carries on to almost her present day, and Maggie O'Farrell has been through a few things, guys. She's seen some stuff. Which brings me to the one outlier from this TBR, to be perfectly honest. Because I do actually have another Maggie O'Farrell book on this table, and it is the only non-fiction. That was hard for my brain. It's the only non-fiction that I'm planning on reading this month, and it is Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell. Were you worried I was going to hit you with that?
That was chunky.
This is the Patreon book club pick for the winter quarter, and at the start of every quarter I throw out some genres. Not all of them are genres that I would normally read, and my patrons have decided that they're going to torture me with historical fiction this time. So, you know, links below if you want to watch me suffer. Okay, so the next prompt is movement, And a lot of people have directly interpreted this as a memoir about a sports person or a memoir about sports, or even like some of the running memoirs that have been really popular over the last couple of years. I don't like sports unless it's it's quite emphatic, wasn't it? Unless it's cricket or rugby.
Yes.
So I thought about movement as in moving through the different stages of your life. It's my very loose interpretation. You can't take it away from me.
No.
So I picked what my... I was never going to get that whole title in one go, was it?
Not chance.
What my mother and I don't talk about, which is kind of blending into you right now. You've coordinated with my TBR. 15 Writers Break the Silence, edited by Michelle Filgate. Now, confession, I have actually already started this one and I'm a fair bit into it. I started it in, what was last month, October? September. So I started it in September and then I had to put it down because I was reading only horror books for October, and now I've picked it back up again. But luckily that's fine because it is an essay collection and you can dip in and out of it. And it's really good, guys. Like, it's really good. So this is a collection from all different ethnicities, backgrounds, religions, and also all different types of relationships between these already published authors and their mothers. So in some of them, they have a terrible relationship with their mother and they don't talk to their mother. And in others, their relationship with their mother is kind of coded in their behaviours. For example, one of them thinks about her mother specifically when she cooks because it was the only love language between her and her mother. Definitely more on this at the end of the month because it's amazing. And then for the prompt of movement, you have picked
Codename Lee's,
which is a book that I actually heard about from April at Getting Hoogle with It. Move out of the way for April. I think it might actually be her Patreon book club pick for the month, maybe, if I remember correctly, which. So Codename Lee's is about
spies and resistance in World War II.
Yes.
And I believe a female spy.
Yes. And I think so from the blurb, because we've both kind of like read the blurb and went, we're listening to that. From the blurb, it sounds like Lee's tried a lot of different ways to aid the war effort and then was eventually, you know, admitted to the service and then became a spy.
You speak French? Here you go!
But she had like a really rough journey, like a lot of things happened to her, and this, I believe, is a historian telling an untold story. And I'm interested as well because I believe that it's a male author. You guys will know because it's on the screen, but I don't remember because again it's 2020 and my priorities are basically like feeding myself and staying alive. So it's a male historian retelling a female historical figure's life, so I will be very interested to see whether it's done sensitively and like where the focus is and stuff. Cool. The next prompt is buzz, which for me was fairly easy. I went the way of books with loads and loads of buzz surrounding them. That was not where your brain went.
Not just then.
Was it? No. In fairness to you, the lovely Leanne from Leanne Rose, who is a very dear friend and I love very much, did actually mention in her TBR for this that was not where her mind went either. And she is actually reading books about the female history of sex for buzz.
Yes.
So I will leave Leanne's TBR in the description box below. I don't talk about her enough. She's amazing. Go check her out. But I have decided, because my brain didn't go there for once, to dirtiest laugh.
Oh, you've lost it.
Oh, please stop. Oh, my sign's hurt. I interpreted this prompt silence. I interpreted this prompt as a book with a lot of word of mouth behind it. That's not any better. A book that a lot of people have talked about. And this particular book has been weirdly like well reviewed, which I'm shocked about because it is a true crime book not involving an actual murder. It is The Feather Thief, and this one is about a guy in 2009 who broke into the British Museum and instead of stealing, I don't know, any of like the gold artifacts or like I don't know what you would steal from the British Museum, but like...
Light stuff.
Yeah.
There's lots of heavy stuff.
I'm assuming there's also like money and tills and stuff like that. So instead of stealing anything you would imagine that he would steal, he stole specifically the plumage of taxidermied birds, of rare, now extinct taxidermied birds, in order to make fishing tackles out of them. And that was his end goal, but it kind of wasn't, because he wanted the money for something else, which is equally preposterous. And this is all like the weirdest crime ever, but apparently the book is really, really good. So I'm excited / apprehensive. And for movement, lovely wife Helen has picked
Into Thin Air
by John Krakauer, which is again kind of influenced by me.
This is the buzz from you, but it's also the merging of our Venn diagrams.
Yeah, this is true, because this is a memoir about an extreme sporting thing,
Yeah.
which went very, very freaking wrong, and also my weird niche obsession with people who do extreme mountain climbing, and specifically people who climb Everest, and when it goes wrong.
That's niche.
Do you know anything about this book other than it's about...
Cold, mountains, dying.
This one is about the date has kind of slipped my mind, but I think it's the 1996 Everest disaster, in which it was the busiest season ever. So you can only go up Everest if you're part of a tour group, a guided group who have permits and stuff to climb the mountain, and usually you pay a lot of money for somebody to essentially lead you to the summit. And most of these tour groups have gone up many, many times, and this particular year all of the tour groups were so full, it was so oversubscribed, and everybody wanted to get up the mountain at the exact same time, because there was a cold front coming in, which can mean that you just lose your slot entirely and you will never get up there. And rather than properly negotiate the use of the ropes and guidelines and like the ladders over the crevasses and stuff like that, they just all went up at the same time. So there were literally queues on Everest, and lots of people died. And this particular account is by John Krakauer, who is an investigative journalist, and he was sent there as an investigative journalist. And hopefully, once you read this, this will be the start of your reading about this particular disaster, because
there's more.
Yeah, and there is actually quite a lot of controversy about whose account is an accurate account, and John Krakauer's is not thought to be the most accurate account, but it is a really good book, and it's a really good audiobook as well. Might actually be narrated by John Krakauer, maybe, don't take my word for that, but I think it is. So the last prompt for Nonfiction November is discovery. And I mean, you could really go anywhere with this, let's be perfectly honest, but what I decided on was probably quite personal to me. So I have recently restarted therapy. I've been in therapy in various stages of my life, and let's normalise talking about therapy alongside normalising talking about mental health and mental illness. And so I have recently restarted therapy, which has been a great experience so far, and as a result of that, thinking about discovery made me think about discovering parts of yourself, which also made me think about another therapy book. So this is Maybe You Should Talk to Someone by... I love the way that you're just like, nah!
That's a big book again.
It is actually quite a chunker, isn't it? It's like, this is Maybe You Should Talk to Someone by Laurie Gottlieb, and this is her experience in therapy as a therapist. So Laurie Gottlieb is an actual therapist. She has seen clients for many, many years, and I believe that at the beginning of this experience, her husband walked out on her completely randomly without any indication that he was planning on doing it, and he cited as the reason that he no longer wanted to be a parent to her son, who was not their biological child, was her child when they met, and he said he was alright with it, and now he's apparently not. So this is her experience of realising after that that she desperately needed some sort of therapy to work through it. And it's her experience juxtaposed with the experience of her talking about some of her favourite cases that she's dealt with and some of her favourite clients. But this one has had a crap ton of people really falling in love with it. In particular, Olive from A Book Olive, who has come up with Nonfiction November. So I feel like I've come full circle. And for Discovery, lovely wife Helen is planning on reading
Come Tell Me How You Live by Agatha Christie.
Yes, which is so Agatha Christie has a series of memoirs across her lifetime, and this one, Come Tell Me How You Live, is a memoir about her archaeological expeditions. So obviously Agatha Christie was alive in the time of colonialism, where Britain thought that it owned everything, and it was very common for ladies of her class to do a world tour. And one of the stops on her world tour was, of course, Egypt, and the digs in Egypt at the time were
A huge thing.
yeah, full of finds and very much run by British people and not the Egyptians who own the artefacts. It's a very interesting book, but we should obviously frame it through the lens of it does come from a problematic point of view. But it's a good look into Agatha Christie, because Agatha Christie had a very varied and strange life, and a few things happened to Agatha Christie in her lifetime which we haven't even really been able to explain because we don't have all of the historical evidence for it. Yeah. Now those are all of the books that I'm actually planning to read for Nonfiction November, but remember, as I said, I am taking part in the 1000 Doors Readathon, which I am going to try to vlog. So you may see vlog footage of me working out what the hell I'm going to read based on the torture that Emma and friends of Emma have decided to put us through. It's very anxiety inducing that I have no idea what I'm going to read in the month, but it's okay. It's okay. We'll be fine. We'll be fine.
We'll be fine.
What are you guys reading? Are you taking part in Nonfiction November? If you are, please tell me below what your TBR is. Or are you taking part in the anxious mess that will be the 1000 Doors Readathon? Do you not know what you're reading for the rest of the month because you're being tortured? And if so, leave your anxiety in the comments below, because I deeply relate. Also, as always, if you've read any of the books that we've talked about today, let us know what you think. I love opinions. Lovely wife Helen will probably ignore them.
No, I like it when you read them to me.
We'll speak to you guys soon. Bye! You're a shady bitch.
But you love me anyway. You do. I'm telling you.
I like how you were like, but please love me anyway,
Exactly.
even though I've been horrible to you on camera. No.
Oh.